What's up, y'all? I'm out here at the range, as you can see behind me, on a humid sunny day. Temperature's not really too bad, but the humidity's rough after this rain we've had for a week straight. It was supposed to be cloudy and windy today, which the clouds ain't doing a whole lot, but the wind is finally starting to pick up, cooling it down a little bit. So it should be a nice rest of the day to get some testing done, and this one right here should be an interesting 9mm test. So of course, you know, we got the jelly contraption set up out here with a couple of chronos and 2 blocks of gel. Now I've done one test so far in this, and it's on the back side here. It was a really good 10mm test, so I'll leave a link up above if y'all hadn't seen that one. Really nice and clear for the rest of it, so absolutely no problem getting this one in there. I've got my heavy clothing barrier as always with the layer of denim, fleece, and 2 layers of cotton t-shirt. And what we got here are a couple rounds that I really don't have any confidence in at all. It's a couple from Sellier and Bellot. We've got 2 124 grain 9mm, but one of them's a HP and one of them's a SP, so the only difference is the point here. One of them's hollow, one of them's soft. Here's a look at the cartridges, both of them brass case, and as you can see, the only difference there, you got the HP there and then that soft point on that side. Now the ballistics are also different for these. Both of them are 124 grain, but the HP is saying 1201 feet per second and the soft point is saying 1165 feet per second, so slower from the SP, and both of those are from 6-inch barrels again, which, yeah, I know it's the standard for blah 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 blah, but it's just absolutely unrealistic given velocities from a 6-inch barrel for 9mm. But even putting that aside, again, I don't have any good hopes for this stuff. I tested the 115 9mm HPs, and if I remember correctly, those were very disappointing. And I've also tested some soft point, not from S&B, but some lighter weight soft point through a shorter barrel, and it didn't do very well. So hopefully this little bit longer barrel we're working with today does something, but again, I just don't have good hopes for it. So what I decided to run them out of here today is my 8-inch AR9. I went with this 8-inch just simply because there's no sense in doing 4.5, because the 115 already did terrible. The lighter soft point of another brand already did terrible. I don't expect anything good out of a 4.5-inch barrel length from these. So 8-inch, I figured we'll see what happens there, and I'm going to do this again from 6 yards, so basically almost double what I usually do. So same distance that I did that last 10mm test, if y'all have seen that one. But hopefully I will be wrong on this one, and this little bit extra barrel length will give us some kind of performance. But let's get all this stuff set up and see what happens. All right, let's find out what we're working with here. I'm gonna do a 5-round average on both of them. We're gonna start with the HPs here first. Now, if y'all aren't familiar with my lab radar, like I always mention, it's a little bit different this time, but it's gonna give you multiple readings. The large number is still right here at the muzzle, and then you've got 5 across the bottom. This time the first one is set for 6 yards, which is where I'm gonna be hitting the gel from, back there at 6 yards. Again, I think 6 yards is a really good distance for stuff like this. You're talking to 18 feet. I mean, that's basically across the room type distance. So I figured that was a good distance. So I've got 6 yards, and then I've got 10, 15, 25, and 50 yards. Now remember, the box on this, I don't know if I mentioned again, was saying 1201 through a 6-inch barrel. So there's no reason we should not see that from this 8-inch. Let's see what happens with it. 1209. I mean, we're barely hitting it. 1191. 1188. 1202. And 1193, so we barely hit it on a couple and didn't on some, and this is an 8-inch barrel. Let's check out the average. All right, so our 5-round average right there was 1196 feet per second, so that's slower than the 1201. Now, if this was a 6-inch barrel, I'd say, well, that's, you know, within the margin of error. That's within, or well within the extreme spread, but this is 2 more inches. There's zero excuse. So again, the 115, if I remember correctly, was bad, and this stuff looks to be just the same. So 1196 right there, extreme spread of 21 and an 8.9 standard deviation. At those kind of velocities, I mean, that's going to be a shame if this stuff doesn't even perform halfway decent out of an 8-inch AR. But let's reset it and check out the soft points. All right, let's check out these soft points. Remember, these were saying 1165, which I don't expect to see after those HPs. I mean, that's really a shame. Let's see what happens. 1280, 1265, 1260, 1267, And 1269, that's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. These soft points well over exceeded the numbers, which those numbers didn't make any sense to me anyway. If you got the same weight projectile, I didn't get the difference there. So these exceeded and the HPs didn't even make the numbers. Let's check out this average. All right, so the 5-round average on these soft points is right where I would expect it to be by adding 2 inches of barrel over the test barrel. So you got 1,268 feet per second when the box was saying 1165 out of a 6-inch. So you added 2 more inches of barrel and picked up about 100 FPS. That makes total sense. Extreme spread of 19 and a standard deviation of 7.1. Now I know some people are already thinking, you sure you didn't mix those rounds up? I'm absolutely positive. I just went and triple checked again. They are absolutely the right ones. Those HPs just are not loaded how they're supposed to be loaded for sure. So 1268 right here, and if you remember on them HPs, it was 1196, so you're talking about 72 feet per second slower from them HPs for really absolutely no reason. Yeah, they're a different type of projectile, but they're still both 124 grains. There's really no reason I can think of that they should be different at all. But all this being said, as far as the HPs, I mean, I'm really worried that that's going to be iffy if they're going to perform like they're supposed to. The soft points, I'm actually kind of curious now to see what those might do at that velocity, but let's get all this stuff set up and y'all know what time it is. All right, y'all, let's get to the point jelly time. We'll put one of each into the gel, starting with these HPs first. Again, I don't really have high hopes at all for this stuff, especially after seeing this velocity. I'll be curious to see what the other chrono down here tells us on this HP this time. All right, that should have been a good one. Let's go see what we got. All right, that actually did surprisingly nice down there. And you can see like the chrono down there showed you the velocity again, just like the lab radar was showing. So I don't know what they did with the load on them HPs, but it's some weak stuff. Well, let's see what happens with this SP. This one right here, I'm really worried about, but maybe it'll prove me wrong also. All right, should have been another good one. Let's go check these things out. All right, let's check this stuff out down here, y'all. Really weird results right here. Not at all really what I was expecting. On the top, that's the HP. This one actually performed really well other than just being incredibly weakly loaded. That is, I mean, that's an 8-inch barrel. You know, keep that in mind. That's an 8-inch barrel. These are saying 6-inch for 11 something, and already that's weak in my opinion. But anyway, as far as right here, it did a good job. You can see it comes in here, immediate expansion. There's no doubt about it. Nice disruption there pretty much all the way through the gel, peaks into this second block probably right at 1/4 inch. And as far as expansion, it looks really nice, but I can't tell if there's a lot of lead pulled out or if that's mostly just jacket. And then moving down from there, that's your soft point. This one did pretty much what I expected. Now, once I saw that velocity up a little higher, I had some hope that it might mushroom and do something, but it did absolutely nothing. You can tell right here, I've done these tests so much that I can tell you just by looking at that disruption right there, that did nothing. That was completely intact all the way through. It started tumbling around in this area. You can just tell by the way that stuff looks, probably multiple times, which caused it to curve down. As you can see, it curved down here, smacked off the bottom, and then bounced a little bit, ricocheted up a little bit, and completely out the end of this block. So I didn't even bother putting another one. I know some people are probably gonna say, well, why didn't you try another one? Because there's no sense. This thing had no mushroom and it had nothing at all. I can tell you just by looking at this right here. And even if it did, that's still way too much penetration for what a 124 grain 9mm is supposed to be doing. So as far as the penetration on them, this HP is sure enough, it's actually at 16.5 inches. So very nice penetration on that one right there. And then this soft point down there, I don't even have to measure because again, it went completely out 32 inches of gel. And here's your closer look again, top HP, bottom SP. I mean, you can see that soft point did absolutely nothing, whereas that HP surprisingly did a nice job up here. I just really don't like that low velocity and low energy though. Now you can see it pokes into that second block. And again, you can see what I mean. I think it's got some nice expansion all the way around. We'll have to pull it. But then if we jump back down here to the soft point, follow it on through, it goes really close on the other side of that track that was coming from the other test, and that's it. Then curving down on the back side, makes it to here, and then does a little bounce off the bottom, and then clean out the end. And then from the top here, you can see again, really nice disruption from that HP. This one definitely surprises me. And then down there at the bottom, if you want to follow that one, it's on the back side down there now, and it kind of disappeared, but you've seen it go completely out the end. All right, let's check out this one lonely little projectile, y'all. Actually, pretty nice stuff right here. This is really surprising at those velocities. I'll have to look back at the 115 test that I did of these S&B HPs. I'm pretty sure those did badly, if I remember. Again, I'll have to look back, but these right here are pretty nice, other than the low velocity and low energy. Again, if I'm carrying 124 9mm, it's gonna be plus P, or at least if it's standard pressure, it's gonna be up to speed. But as far as this projectile itself, I mean, it looks pretty nice. You can tell it did have some more to give. You can still see that divot in the middle, but you got really nice expansion from the jacket but carried a pretty good bit of lead with it. But let's get a few measurements on it. We'll start with the weight. This one started at 124 and we're at 123.4, so probably lost a couple little crumbs that I think I can see some in the gel, but not much at all. And then as far as the size on it, you got 543 and 535, so again, you actually got some really nice expansion. I would say the bulk of it is jacket, but again, it carried quite a bit of nice lead out with it. And there you go, y'all, the S&B 124 hollow versus soft point. No contest here, really. The HP definitely took this one. I don't know what's going on with this soft point here, whether it's you know, the lead compound's too hard, it just can't deal with that cloth. I don't know what the deal is there, but you didn't get any mushroom, and I mean, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind. So whatever the case, I mean, it was up to the velocity. It really makes you wonder, I mean, what kind of testing do they do just besides seeing if this stuff actually runs and getting the velocity, because there's no way, I mean, there's no way you tested this and got really good results from those listed velocities, because I got more than was listed here and still didn't get good results. So as good as the results have been from their X or G copper stuff, their lead stuff just leaves a whole lot to be desired. All right, y'all, I'm gonna wrap it up right there for a pretty wacky S&B 9mm test. I don't know what's going on with this stuff. The 124 HP did a nice job in the gel, but velocity was just way off. If that velocity is correct and that's loaded correct, they must be testing this stuff out of the tightest tolerance test barrel under the most tight closed conditions known to man, because there's absolutely no way it's hitting that kind of velocity in the real world. I was 2 inches longer than their test barrel and I couldn't even hit it. And then the soft point was just the opposite. It exceeded what the velocity was saying from the 8-inch barrel like it should have, but just did a terrible job in the gel. So that I had originally planned to run through a 16-inch carbine, so that's probably what I'll end up doing, just to see if I can get some kind of mushroom or something out of it. But let me know down in the comments what y'all think about it. Any of y'all out there run this S&B stuff, the HPs 124, 115, this soft point? Have you done any kind of hunting or anything with this soft point? Let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are. If you did enjoy the video, take a second to reach down and click that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and make sure you've got your notifications on so you get notified when I upload stuff. Take a minute and check out those affiliate links in the video description. Anything you get after hitting up those links, I get a kickback from them toward the channel, so I really do appreciate that. Big thanks as always to all my Range Gang members and every single one of y'all for supporting the channel. I've got one more test planned for out here today that should be another interesting one, so stay on the lookout for that. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay prepared, and I'll see you soon.